Welcome to our Kendra's Card Challenge number 13 Design Team Super Sponsor Hub for March. Today we're going into the herb garden using this beautiful stamp from super sponsor Colorado Craft Company. My name is Julia and I'm an enthusiastic card maker and paper crafter from Austria. Welcome to my channel, Julie's Kreativschatzkiste. I have a big garden myself and I particularly love my herbs. So I couldn't resist and had to buy the stamp Spice of Life from Colorado Craft Company as soon as I saw it. For my card I will be using one of the sketches of Kendra's Card Challenge. If you're not familiar with Kendra's Card Challenge, this is a quarterly challenge where Kendra provides you for free 15 sketches which you can make out of 6 sheets of 6x6 inch patterned paper. Kendra's Card Challenge has a lot of sponsors and super sponsors, and for Kendra's Card Challenge number 13, one of them is Colorado Craft Company. Alright, now back to my card. I will be using sketch number 9 today, but I will make some changes to the sketch provided by Kendra. One of the changes is the format of the card. The card sketches are made for A2 cards, but I will be using a slimline card today in order to have enough space for the stamps. Another change I will be making is the direction. I will not use the card sketch vertically, but rather horizontally. So first I have to do some calculations to get my measurements right. I am also using my stamps to see how much space I will be needing for them. So just in case you're interested in the final measurements, the size of my card front is about 4¼ by 8½ inches. The two smaller paper strips in the sketch are each 3/4 of an inch, and the larger paper strip is therefore 2¾ of an inch. I start with the paper strip in the middle where you see the diagonal lines. This will be a wooden beam with a twine rolled around it. I have cut this strip from watercolor paper and it's not 3/4 of an inch but rather 1 inch wide. This is because I want to put it on foam tape and I do not want to have the card below showing, so it has to overlap the other paper strips a little bit. While you are watching me make this watercolor paper look like wood, with the help of my Distress inks and Distress oxides, particularly Vintage Photo and Rusty Hinge, I can give you more details about Kendra's Card Challenge. Each quarter Kendra provides a PDF printable for free. You can download this printable from her Patreon, you just have to register for free. But I encourage you also to check out the paid tiers of Kendra's Patreon, because she has some really great goodies for you. Anyway, in this printable I mentioned, there are not only the card sketches, but also a cutting guide for the 6 sheets of 6x6 inch paper. For participating in the challenge and being eligible to win one of the great prizes, you have to make all the 15 cards from the challenge and post them in the Kendra's Card Challenges Facebook group in the relevant album. You can post 1 photo for each month, so 3 times for each challenge. The current challenge number 13 runs until the end of March. Okay, I really like the color of my watercolor paper now already. To get the wooden texture, I use this ground espresso Distress ink on this lumber embossing folder. I color the raised areas of the embossing folder with a darker ink, which will then be pressed into the paper and give us this wooden texture. My embossing folder is not long enough for my complete paper strip, so I just start with 1/2 and I do not run the entire embossing folder through my die cutting machine, but just 3/4 of it, so that I don't have this frame on the embossing folder embossed into my paper. Then I do the same again with the other half. Doesn't that look gorgeous? So now that we have created the wooden beam for my herbs, it is time to look for a matching wallpaper. And I found something in this paper block from Holtz. This paper has a great vintage feel to it and it is in neutral colors, so it will complement my herbs perfectly. I cut out these 2 paper strips according to the measurements I calculated in the beginning. So now we have the wooden beam and the background. Now it's time for the highlight of the card, the herbs. There are 5 different herbs in this stamp set. There's basil, sage, parsley, rosemary and thyme. It really reminds me of Scarborough Fair. There are also the names of the herbs as stamps, but I don't use them today. When I have them aligned in my stamping aid and primed as they are new, I stamp all the stamps with a light grey hickory smoke archival ink. Unfortunately, my stamp pad needs re-inking, so I stamp it twice. Subsequently, I got out my alcohol markers. I took out all my green ones and I made some swatches, so that I'm able to color the herbs in as realistically as possible. And while I'm coloring the stamps, I can tell you that this hop is actually a giveaway hop. So all the design team members of KCC 13 are doing videos today featuring the super sponsors of Kendra's Card Challenge number 13. I really encourage you to check out all the videos in this hop, because my design team colleagues for sure will have some amazing inspiration for you. In order to be eligible to win a digital prize from Cards by Kendra, you have to fill in a form by March 12th. You will find the link to this form as well as all the details in my description box. The winner will be randomly chosen and announced on the Cards by Kendra YouTube channel under the Community tab. My scan and cut was very helpful when cutting out these herbs. I used the generated cutting file again to cut out the forms of the herbs from some white paper as well. And now I glue the corresponding parts together, and this way my herbs will be sturdier. Back to my card base, where I used liquid glue to adhere my 2 wallpaper strips on the card already. I have also cut my wooden beam to the correct length, and now I'm attaching double-sided tape on the back side of it. This double-sided tape should keep the twine in place that I'm now going to wrap around the wooden beam so that it matches the card sketch. I do not yet adhere the wooden beam to my card. As I have arranged the herbs on the card, I realized that the white border around the stamp is too bright for my vintage feeling, so I just used the light grey marker and colored it. I also cut off the stamped twine because I want to use real twine for letting my herbs hang down from the beam. So that is what I do to all of my stamps now. In the next step I use foam tape on the back of my herb stamps. But before I stick them onto my card, I use this sentiment, which is also included in the stamp set from Colorado Craft Company. Friendships are the spices of life. I really like that. In order to make the sentiment stand out on my card, I will heat emboss it onto the card directly. I use a dark blue pigment ink as well as transparent embossing powder. Once that's done, it is time to adhere all my herbs to my card. Thanks to the foam tape, they really have a nice dimension. Next I aligned all the twines in the same direction, and then I pressed the beam, which has still the double-sided tape on the back, slightly on the twines, so that the beam didn't stick to the paper, but just to the twines. And thanks to the sticking twines, I knew the exact length of the twine I need, so I could cut them off at about half the width of the beam. For further dimension of the beam, I put some foam tape on the back. This also is very helpful in fixing the twine ends. Then I can already adhere the beam to my card base. And afterwards I can also cut the other loose ends of the twines. By the way, these knots in the twines on my stamps, I have put some glue on them previously so that the tightened knots will not loosen. And that is actually my finished card for today. I can just really encourage you again to watch all the videos in this hop, and don't forget to fill in the form to be eligible for winning a prize. Please also check out Kendra's card challenge, it's really fun. So for today, that's it. Servus, until next time.